USC's playoff chances get rug pulled after losing on a last-second field goal. Evidence is mounting that this could be the worst football team in the history of UCLA athletics. And in week 4 of the NFL, we're going to preview both the Rams and the Chargers. Good morning. I'm James. And this is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is the Faithful Angelenos Morning Report. It is September 28, 2025. It is Sunday, and yes, it's the Lord's Day. I will be going to church, but man, do we got a lot of football to talk about. Let's be honest about that too. So we also added a new subscriber to the Angeleno Familia. Thank you for getting in on the ground floor. We're going to do our best to keep you informed. If you like being in the know about LA sports, clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notification bell. Hit that. It'll let you know when we drop an update. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. And comment. And we have an expanded look at the scoreboard during football season. And we have to start with 23rd ranked Illinois 34, 21st ranked USC 32. One hell of an entertaining game. But it ends in disaster for USC as the Illini connected on a game-winning field goal as time expired. It's a turnaround made especially painful, considering that the Trojans rallied from 14 points down. And they even took the lead on Makai Lemon's second touchdown reception from Jaden Mayava with 1:55 to go. So, you shouldn't be surprised to see USC fall out of the top 25 today. We're going to talk in a moment about how much this damages their college playoff chances. But as for this game, yesterday I mentioned that USC would really need a good night's sleep because of the 9 a.m. kickoff. I underestimated that. They also needed Kamari Ramsey to go vegan because he missed the game due to food poisoning. Food poisoning that was so bad, he was throwing up until he started to hallucinate about Valhalla. I want to be clear here. It would be unfair and ridiculous to pin the loss on Ramsey for getting sick. That's just not fair. And I know that. But without him, the Trojans looked absolutely lost on defense all day. Absolutely lost. All three levels. See, Ramsey is the defensive play caller out there. That actually matters, guys. He's the guy directing the show. So if he were out there, and believe you me, he's telling himself this while he's holding a barf bag up to his mouth on the plane flight home. All the way, he's telling himself, if I was out there, that's a win. And the Trojans would be 5-0, blah, 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 blah. Hate putting it like that, but you can't imagine them giving up 34 if Ramsey was running things. Without him, you see, Illinois put up 502 offensive yards. 502. And they punted once. You get one more punt, you shave just a few yards off. That's why I'm not panicking yet. See, I mentioned that Illinois quarterback Luke Altmaier would have to take advantage of USC's secondary. Well, he did. He passed for 328 yards and 2 touchdowns. I also mentioned that going for big pass plays would put Altmaier at risk because of the Trojans' pass rush. But the pass rush never materialized Saturday. Altmaier was sacked 7 times just a week ago. Yesterday, USC got him just once. So I bring all of that up because so many social media bots and maybe some real people were just so busy jumping off the USC bandwagon yesterday. So much more elbow room to have. So the question is, should you? Are you off the bandwagon? See, I wouldn't just yet. Here's why. I think you could be a Big Ten team with 2 losses and still get into the college football playoffs. But this is not to sit there and say, just shrug off this loss like nothing happened. That ain't right. Because USC has 3 ranked opponents left this schedule. There's no way in hell they're beating Oregon. That gives them that second loss already. So what that means is USC has to come back in 2 weeks, beat Michigan at the Coliseum, and then upset Notre Dame, which has 2 losses, I might add, upset Notre Dame in South Bend 3 weeks from now. The Trojans are in the gauntlet. This is the game they absolutely had to win. They didn't. The check engine light is on, but the engine didn't blow up yet. So it's not a kill shot. It sucks, but it's not a kill shot. Let me know, of course, what you think. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the Big Ten, Northwestern 17, UCLA 14. The upshot is this: the Wildcats took a 17-0 lead, rolled over, went back to bed against arguably the worst football team UCLA has ever assembled. You have heard me say this all year long because I thought UCLA would be not great, but somewhat decent. Nico Iamaleava gave it his best. He passed for 180 yards, threw for a touchdown. He also led the team in rushing. But we have discussed the main problems for the Bruins all year long, and including yesterday's preview. In order to buy the idea that some of the scribes were having, oh, UCLA is going to win today, right? In order for me to buy that idea, I would have to take as a given that this team learned how to block and tackle in 2 weeks. No, I don't think you fired Deshaun Foster and in 2 weeks you learn how to block and tackle. The Wildcats were missing their best running back, and they still trampled UCLA to the tune of 199 rushing yards. The Bruins, by the way, have never had more than 9 losses in a football season. That's probably falling. I think the only game that they truly have a chance to win for the rest of the year is when they host Maryland on October 18th. Get your tickets now. Lord knows there's going to be plenty of elbow room over at the Rose Bowl. Dodgers 5, Seattle 3. The game obviously meant nothing. The Dodgers and the Mariners are both in the playoffs. The Galaxy beat the snot out of Sporting Kansas City 4-1. LAFC 3, St. Loser 0, and Racing Louisville edged Angel City FC 1-0. Racing Louisville damn near ran Angel City out of the NWSL playoff race last night. Angel City is now 5 points out with 4 matches left. Meanwhile, today, the Dodgers are at Seattle at noon. Back to the football previews. Indianapolis is at the Rams at 1. So, all of a sudden, we're supposed to believe that Daniel Jones is Dan Marino incarnate. That's what we're being told. Daniel Jones we couldn't even validate that he knew how to zip up his fly when he played for the New York Giants. Now he's invincible. That's what we're being told. Don't get me wrong, the Colts are 3-0. But there was one numbers cruncher who suggested that this is one of the best offenses that Indianapolis has ever had because Coach Shane Steichen is such a tremendous play caller. Really? One of the best the Colts have ever had? The franchise of Peyton Manning has been outshined by Daniel Jones. Are you kidding me? You really want me to buy that? After 3 games. So, what I can tell you is this. The Colts last year committed 29 turnovers. And of course, there's no way in hell you're going to win committing that many. The point about the Colts this year as opposed to last year is not that the Colts are just an unstoppable force. It's that they're no longer beating themselves. They're not committing the turnovers at almost 3 per game. Now, for the second consecutive week, the Rams are going to have a running threat to stop in Jonathan Taylor. Where the Rams are going to be vulnerable, though, is not necessarily against the run. The Rams are going to be vulnerable because the Colts like to run a lot of underneath crossing routes, pick plays, things like that. Rams defensive backs, they like to play back to avoid getting beaten deep. So a lot of those short passes are going to be quick hitters and completions. But there are three things that are going against Indianapolis that I think mean the Rams should win. One, the Colts allow almost 5 yards per run play. Don't be surprised if Kyron Williams just goes nuts. Two, this is the second of back-to-back road games for the Colts. That is a big ask going out of town 2 weeks in a row. Very difficult. You remember the Rams played the second of back-to-back road games last week in Philly, and look what happened. And of course, the third, it is exceptionally difficult to maintain excellence in the NFL every weekend. Some weeks you just don't have it. If you're a championship caliber team, you find a way to win, right? But most teams, they just completely step on a rake. I was told it happens once every 4 weeks. Well, this is the fourth week and Indianapolis has played terrific. I think there is a very reasonable expectation that Daniel Jones reverts back to the mean today. Side note, by the way, Davante Adams is expected to play for the Rams today. The Chargers are at the New York Giants at 10 o'clock. Giants wide receiver Malik Nabers said after the team lost its third game, he looked around and said, quote, "We can't win," unquote. And I believe him. We could go through X's and O's all we want. It goes like this. I don't believe rookie Jackson Dart making his first NFL start is going to execute well against the Chargers defense. I do not believe that. I don't. Meanwhile, Bolts offensive coordinator Greg Roman now believes totally in Justin Herbert. It took him a year, but he does. The Chargers aren't so hell-bent on establishing the run at all costs. The rest of the NFL has been stunned by it. So, I do not see any reason why the Chargers don't move to 4-0 today. Not just because the Chargers believe they will, but because the Giants don't believe they will win either. And we'll get to the news. We talked about the Dodgers a moment ago. The Dodgers still do not know who their opponent in the first round is. It's either Cincinnati or the Mets. They both have the same record, and they both play a game starting at noon today. First round begins Tuesday. Also with the Dodgers, through some sleight of hand with the roster, they have welcomed Andrew Heaney back to the majors. Andrew Heaney, technically a Dodger pitcher twice before and always sent away. The guy was scooped up by LA after Pittsburgh cut him. To make room, the Dodgers optioned Will Klein, recalled Nick Frasso, then put Frasso on the injured list. You make it make sense. So the next question that follows is, does Heaney actually have a role beyond today's game? See, the Dodgers obviously already have their playoff spot locked up. They don't want to risk anyone getting hurt on the final day of the season. It's entirely possible that Heaney is the equivalent of a crash test dummy. You're just like, we don't care about this game, dude. Pitch all 9. What do we care? If you need Tommy John surgery again, you just keep throwing because we'll pick up the tab for the surgery after the game. We don't care if you're rolling the ball from the mound by the end of the game. That's a possibility. Keep in mind, Emmett Sheehan only pitched 1 inning Friday because they wanted him to be ready for that shift to the bullpen in the playoffs. Tyler Glasnow pitched Saturday, but that's going to be regular rest for him if he winds up being a Game 3 starter. You could also wonder if Heaney winds up being on the playoff roster anyway. The Dodgers have 3 starting pitchers demoted to the bullpen. Sheehan, Clayton Kershaw, Roki Sasaki, because the actual relievers have been a Luciferian abomination. Very interesting to see what will happen with Andrew Heaney to me. Also, reserve infielder Miguel Rojas will be a free agent at the end of the year. He said 100% he wants to return to LA. I have no idea if the feeling is mutual. But you let me know what you think in the comments thread. If you're a USC fan, how upset are you over your Illinois getting that win? And have you jumped off the bandwagon? How angry are you if you're a UCLA supporter? And if you enjoyed this update, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We talk LA sports every single day here. Thank you for watching. I'm James, and we'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelenos is a Corte El Queso production. Take care.